Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was weevil larvae. This is another tip. So when I harvest the nuts, I don't float test them right away. Usually I'll wait like maybe a week, even a couple weeks to float test them. And the reason why is because a lot of these nuts look perfect. They may even sink, and then because they're sealed, and then of course the weevil larva burrows out, and you find out that it's actually a disgusting nut that you don't want to eat. And that could add up to not just one nut, but to what you thought it could have been many pounds of nuts. So in this case, you can see here, I don't know what that is, 20 pounds of nuts. So what I'm going to do is dump these into another container, and we can take a look at basically how many of the larvae crawled out while the nuts were sitting there. I will say that I already actually did that with these nuts, so this will be the second round. And I'm hoping all that does is prove my case that there's sometimes a lot of nuts. And I can tell you, I know you don't care about, every tree is different. Usually what I found is the ones in the woods, not obviously, but it seems to make sense to me, the ones in the woods have a lot more weevil larvae in them. So these came from the woods, and they have a very large percentage of weevil nut larvae. One tip I would say is don't count your nuts before the larvae have hatched. Pretty good, I came up with that right now, but basically you think you have a great harvest, and then you find out that sometimes a large percentage of them are actually infested with little worms. So here's how I recommend you fix that. Basically, you let them sit for a long time. All right, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pour these into the other container. So I just poured all those nuts out of that trash can into this container. That way I can show you the weevil larvae on the bottom of this trash can. And like I mentioned, this is the second round for these nuts. I've already let them sit for a little while, and this is my second time to pour them. So you can see quite a few of them in there, actually. And that's not all of them, obviously. Those are just the ones we see. So, hey, the moral of this story is let your nuts sit for a couple weeks before you actually weigh them and float test them and weigh them and everything.